Hi everyone. My name is Ashley. Thank you, Ms. Pan, for inviting me today. And today I plan on talk about how I chose the art school I wanted to go to and how I prepared my portfolio. My presentation will include basically generally 2 points: the timing and what to include in your portfolio. So here I start. I'm going to share my screen. Okay. For timing, I'd say start as early as you can. Most of my works that I put in my portfolio were made in my junior year in high school. And also, I don't know how it works for Canada, but in the US, high school have 4 years. And we apply to colleges in the 4th year, so in our senior year. Most of the works I put in my portfolio were made during my high school junior year. However, if you have never prepared any work for your portfolio or never thought about applying to art school prior to that time, starting at junior year will be a little tough because for art, practicing your techniques, finding the styles you like, and just gathering ideas take a lot of time. So start as early as you can. Usually for colleges, they'd ask you to upload works that were made within 2 years before you apply. So preferably they will be looking at works made in high school sophomore and junior years, and but latest will be the works made in senior year. But usually you will be really busy in senior year, so I expect most people to not be able to make a lot of work during those times. When I was a sophomore in high school, I didn't know what I wanted. I was just interested in art, and I was drawing a lot of different kinds of things, doing practices. I was practicing gouache, pencil drawing, doing some sketches, and I was really interested in anime and manga. So I did a lot of these black and white ink illustrations in anime manga drawing style. However, towards the end of my sophomore year, I started going to colleges for college visits. And the first school I went to was the Chicago Art Institute. Chicago, SAIC. And I showed the admission officer my manga style illustrations. What the admission officer told me was it was not what SAIC liked. Their school would prefer something that's more stylistic, more personal, and more abstract, and something that looks like anyone could have done it, something that have a style that is seen everywhere else, would not be something a college would want to see, especially not for SAIC. So it got me thinking, it made me realize that styles that I like might not be what colleges that I want to go to would prefer to see in my portfolio. In other words, unless you happen to find a school that will love your current style, if there is a college you want to go to, you need to study it. You need to study what it prefers and work towards that style to get you into that school. Once you're in, you get to do whatever you want. But during your application, you need to study the school and know what it wants to see in your portfolio. So what I did after that, after realizing that I needed to study the different schools and work in a style that colleges might prefer, I sought for professional support, professional instructions. 3 things I did. First, during my junior year in high school, I attended this 1 semester long weekend classes offered for high school students in MICA, Maryland Institute College of Art. Every weekend, I would go there for the entire day. And I will be taught by 2 different professors from MICA to try out different ideas, materials, and techniques. So here I was using charcoal, I was trying out collage, and did more ink drawings. Then same year, that summer, I went to SAIC. I went to Chicago and I attended SAIC's 4-week-long summer program, also for high school students. Because the school was right next to the Art Institute of Chicago, one of the biggest art museums in the US, I was basically our professor, who was also a professor teaching in SAIC, took us to the museum every single class. We had very intense lessons. It was like 4-hour long every day. And we were told to make a complete piece within 3 to 5 days. So it was very intense, very busy. The entire process of the entire 4 weeks gave us pretty much no time to think, but just make. And these were a lot of the works my classmates made at the time. I was also introduced to the idea of, to the format of critiques, which was basically putting everyone's work up on the wall and talk about each individual work. I made a few larger pieces. I made a few large pieces in SAIC, but I wasn't thinking too deep about them at the time. They were more like practices in creativity. Also, it was the first time I was introduced to the format of installation. Then after that, I attended the summer session of one of YMM schools, where I further developed on my portfolio. In there, I was taught to not only make interesting works, but to think about each work, to make work based on a given subject, to collect data, and to record my process, and at the end, to practice talking about my work. So the result was I was able to produce a series of projects that were more thoughtful, and it really helped me finalize my portfolio, because I was able to, I guess, get a full record of how I made each piece. Then that was it. That was basically how at the end of that summer, I realized I needed to apply. So in my senior year, starting from the start of my senior year to the deadline for the last school I applied, I was using all the time to prepare for my portfolio. I didn't have much time to make any more new works, because each school had different requirements. They were asking for different kinds of essays, and because each school had different styles that they prefer. So I had to prepare my portfolio according to each individual school's preference. I'd recommend everyone to start studying these schools' preferences and their requirements during summer vacation in your junior year, so you won't be so busy researching about these schools as the new semester started and you had to apply. Especially for many schools like RISD, Rhode Island Institute of Art, and the Cooper Union, which is the school I attend right now, they are known to have requirements in particular. They're known to have requirements in works, such as for RISD, they will have 3 given topics, and you have to, in a portfolio, include a work that was made dedicated to their given topic. And for Cooper Union, after you apply, they will give you 4 weeks to make 6 pieces of work according to their given subjects. So you need to know about these requirements prior to your application. And knowing the requirements will also help you to know how to organize your portfolio. Then I want to talk about what to include in your portfolio. Basically, by the end of my junior year, I selected around 30 pieces that I like the most, because usually colleges in America would ask you for around 15 to 20, 25 pieces of your best work within the 2 years of the application. And so I selected around 30, within which I picked 5, which I thought were the best, and I included them in every one of my portfolio for each school. Then, according to the style of each school, I then selected the other 15 works based on whether they're more illustrative, narrative, or more fine art. Like, for example, MICA or SVA might prefer works that are more narrative. So I included some of my illustrations. And for SAIC, I included more paintings and sculptures, as well as a video and some installations. Some schools will also ask to look at your sketchbook. The sketchbook is something that you should start keeping as early as possible. It's basically just a small book in which you put all your ideas, you write, and well, you can basically put anything in there. You can doodle, you can write, you write your ideas and things that inspire you. And what colleges are looking for is your thought process and your making process between each project. So see, for this one, this is an installation piece I did. How I started was a topic given by RISD, collect here, and then was brainstorming. I wrote a lot about this one topic. Then I did research on what other artists might have made about this project, this topic. Then I gave 3 different plans for this topic. I chose one and then developed even more on it. I did more writing, and then it was a record, a documentation of my entire process. In this piece, I interviewed people to see if they wanted to accept a coin from me and give it back to me after 24 hours. And so I actually wrote each individual's response to my question and whether they came back or not. At the end, I put up a show with the picture of every single person who returned the coin to me, and the whole process and how I came up with this project was recorded in my sketchbook. So when I presented to the admission, or when I submitted along with my portfolio, the admission officer who will be looking at it will understand what kinds of things, what kind of artist I was interested in, how I thought about an idea, and how I made it into a complete work. So keeping a sketchbook is very important, both for your thinking process and for your college application. And lastly, I want to say, even though it seems like that the year when you apply to colleges will be extremely busy and you got no time to learn about the schools and develop on your portfolio, there are still some chances for you to learn about the schools actually. There are the college visits. You can visit college on your own, but there are also times when colleges come to your college, when colleges come to your high school to introduce their college to the students there. So if you happen, so keep note of your the notifications in your high school to see if there are college visits, there are visits from other colleges. Usually for officers sent from art schools, they will also look at your portfolio. So that would be a great chance for you to show your portfolio and get feedbacks. There's also the National Portfolio Day, which is this event held by art schools, I think, in the US and also in Canada as well. They will go around the country and to each important cities of each state. And in 1 or 2 days, students can come in and show the admission professors from each school their portfolio and get feedbacks. They will also answer any questions you have about their school. So that will be a very important chance for you to get feedbacks and to learn about the school if you didn't get to do a lot of visits in person. Let me think. And I think that's pretty much it. So to conclude, start making art as early as you can. Colleges will look for work from as early as your sophomore year. But start early as you can. Always keep a sketchbook, putting anything you can think of, any doodles, and anything that inspired you, as well as your thought process and the final result of a project. Visit schools and learn about the schools as early as you can. Expand the chances you can get contact with college professors, because those are the people that are going to give you first-hand information about the school you want to apply and help you decide whether you like that school or not. And once you learn so much about the school, you will, well, you'll kind of get the idea on how to organize your portfolio. What I did for my portfolio was I put the five works that I like the most in front. So within the 20, I will put the first 3 as my favorite works, usually illustrations or large paintings that will catch the admission's eye. Then in between, I will put works that are a little weaker, that are more practical, or maybe a little more weak on the thinking part, on the conceptual part. See these like little sculptures I made in the past. Then at the end, I will put another more interesting work, such as a video or a sculpture, to wrap up and to get the admissions attention again, as they kind of get bored looking at my little drawings and sculptures. Then, wow, it ends with a larger work. So in this way, I think it will best allow the admission to remember my pieces, especially the ones I wanted them to look at the most. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. And the last thing I do want to talk about is even though even though college prep, preparing for college application could be intense and extremely busy, it's important to also enjoy the process and have fun because art originates from life. What you make in your art is usually inspired by your life experiences. So do as much fun things as you can while you make your art and while you are busy doing other things. While I was preparing for my art, my portfolio and applying to colleges, I was also in this little theater group. We had two shows, and I was the protagonist for 2 years in a row. I was also in this national high school Japanese competition that I entered with my friends during the last 2 years. And we won the champion, the national champion as well. Even though it will be a lot of pressure as you work towards your college life, this time will also be a very valuable and fun time for you to remember in the future. And that's all I have to present. Thank you.